Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Super J News podcast. As seen on the Pixie Twitch channel. That was session 20, Terashima Brothers. Truly, I didn't really have an idea for a name, so that's what came to mind. Terashima Brothers. I think it reminded me of one of my favorite books, Watchmen, the Hiroshima Lovers. If you know what that
Cool.
is.
I think like master and student or something could have been good because like Mohan is also teaching us stuff.
Yeah, it was 10 in the morning when I finished editing this today, so my brain was had reached its capacity. I think so. Too bad.
What's done is done. The die has been cast.
The die has been cast. But yes, hope everyone enjoyed that. That was a bit of a long one. For me, that was definitely one of the harder ones to edit, and we can get into the reasons for that in this little Talkback episode. But any initial thoughts anyone has? I know Magnus kind of tuned in a little bit late there.
You want to do a quick recap for Magnus, or no?
I mean, that's okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm eager to watch it later, and I think that everybody watching now has seen it. Unless there's like a quick package TLDR.
Well,
but
last
the ending
time
was dope.
saw you or talked to you, you hadn't seen Amy's first episode yet, right? You just watched that? You caught up now? Hell yeah.
I gotta say that I have a question for you, because I think that you clearly wanted Toshiro to die.
That was definitely in the plan. I thought you guys were gonna beat him and kill him and give him the honorable samurai death, but that didn't happen. Yeah. And as with many TTRPG things, you just gotta wing it. And so,
well, I wonder what was your original plan for the end of that episode? Because I feel like there's a couple of things that we were like, yeah, we're gonna kill him or whatever. I don't know. Everybody else wanted to fight him.
It wasn't that big of a deal, honestly. Truly, I think the bestowing of the Katana of Shadows to Whiskers very much was like in his last moments he was gonna do that. Which him still being alive, him bestowing the katana to him is more like I don't deserve to wield this anymore because I was defeated by you. Implying that he got that katana from defeating someone, right? So that's kind of the main difference. I guess in my mind when it was happening, I was like, I guess it doesn't matter that he's still alive too much. I did not expect that Aisha would have been like, hey, let's work together and recruiting him as part of your plan. That was something that I didn't expect. And that obviously affects the campaign moving forward, as we'll see in the episodes to come. Definitely, it's funny that it was very obvious that he wanted him to die. I don't know, because his whole...
that's from my DM brain.
I know.
I'm thinking like, oh yeah, he probably doesn't want to have to play this character anymore because he's too powerful. You know what I mean?
He's very powerful. Right? He's a fucking fox spirit of death. So definitely.
When that happened, I thought he was gonna, what's it called, senpaku or whatever, where they kill themselves. Seppuku, whatever it's called.
We thought about it, but
because we weren't gonna kill him. Like, I don't think there was any situation where it's like, okay, kill me, and then we actually kill him. I don't think we would have done that.
I guess I didn't think about that. I don't know. Yeah, the seppuku thing, I think that's what it's called. Did cross my mind, but I don't know. Suicide on camera is kind of a weird thing to do, especially TTRPG. But I know we've like gone over lines and veils and stuff, and that wouldn't fine. But yeah, it would be weird to just be like, I don't know.
Well, knowing what happens afterwards, this is the only path that made sense.
I guess so.
I don't know.
I think like either way, Bugaki would. I mean, gotta get him to join the the whole, thing that that's what Bugaki's going to try to do with everybody. But I don't know.
You guys are so Dragon Ball Z characters where they defeat a bad guy and
they always
literally
add him to the party.
everyone is a former villain. Vegeta, Piccolo, and
Yeah.
Android
Boo.
18,
Yeah.
like Boo, like literally
Yes.
Their
everyone.
entire
Even,
crew.
spoiler for Super, even Frieza to an extent.
Frieza, yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah, Toriyama really loves his redeemable villains, I suppose.
And there's no like Tanjiro level conversation where you're just yelling, "No, you can be good. I know."
But
Yeah.
even sometimes it's not
happen.
about like in DBZ, they don't even care if they're good. It's like you
Yeah.
want to join, and then they'll still like do fucked up shit on the
Well, it's usually
side.
because
Like,
there's,
oh,
like,
I guess I'll beat
power,
you up.
an even
Sure.
more powerful villain that they need to fight and team
Exactly,
up against.
exactly.
Right?
So it's like, oh, I guess I have no choice.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
die.
It makes sense from a story perspective. Which, I mean, honestly, if that's how we all navigated life and just made friends of our enemies, the world would be a better place. So, Kira Toriyama, I see you. I see what you're
Nice. I like it.
doing. Yeah,
I feel like-
definitely not what I expected.
I feel like everybody begs your team not to kill them, or like shows some side of them that wants to live, and then this time the first one who's like, "No, do it. I deserve it. Kill me." Yeah, giving them the option, be like, "Okay, you know what? Fine. We're not going to do it this time.
Yeah.
we don't have to."
I think it also
Yeah,
spoke
but-
to and just like a hint at it, Toshio Kitsune's like inner turmoil as like his existence. Like he was a former spirit of death on Vixopia, which we know was a glassed planet with those fox people that Sappy is very familiar with. So to be a former, semi-divine character of some kind to now have this existence, it's obviously there's an element of shame to it. There's an element of sadness to it. So him almost being like end it was almost like that was obviously part of it as well. But just like a hint at like his existence and what he is as a character, which is funny because when I first created him, I think he was in episode 2 briefly in that casino. You just walked by him. I just thought Toshio Kitsune was a fun name and character concept because Toshio Mifune this is my favorite actor of all time. Just a cool, expensive, dope bounty hunter. And then because Sappy, I think when you first met him in person and talked to him on Bogogo, he made that connection of foxes, of Vixopia and him. I think after that episode, I was like, maybe he is related to Vixopia in some way. And then that's when I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like make him some sort of like semi-divine being.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, or former. Yeah. That's where that came to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other initial thoughts? I will say the beginning of this episode, like the intro of like, and just like Aisha's orientation to like the base, like you guys, and even just like getting settled into like the vibe of the team. It's very funny that like we're on episode 20, like the arc that Bugaki has gone through and like how far Bugaki has come and where he's at now, to introduce a character that has similar Bugaki energy in terms of just like coming in, drinking, eating the snacks, like doing that vibe, and then how different like Bugaki is from that is like a hilarious contrast in my mind. Which is kind of perfect that it almost like mirrors that. Amy, was that intentional? Or you always were gonna play Aisha like that?
I don't know if it was intentional.
Yeah.
I think I always am a very like tanky, aggressive player in every type of role playing game I do. It's just something I'm comfortable with. So it just happens every time.
It's easy, and I think we all like share a similar sense of humor. So Bugaki behaving that way at the beginning, like it was for laughs obviously as well. So like it's funny. Yeah, funny.
I'm a very like I like
vibe.
being like the characters that are like like, you know, bullies almost, but also like care a little bit in their own way by using aggression. Like,
Yeah, very similar to Bugaki in a lot of
Ubar.
ways.
and that's why
fun
I
playing
always
Guevara, yeah.
tease Bugaki so much because we're probably very similar people.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, one thing that at the beginning, like that I was thinking about when watching this and watching the last episode is like, yeah, you guys like. I know on paper it sounds pretty insane that you guys like threw so many resources at the prison. You recruited Thalsnar and his army just to spring a couple Jin commanders, and I think even you guys bringing up it. And then Bukaki was like, "Oh, this for like 4 guys." And I thought about it, and it's like, yeah, but like in like war, when like think about it this way, like if this was like Star Wars and this was like post Order 66, Star Wars, and they discovered that there were fucking 4 Jedi locked away somewhere, yeah, hell yeah, they would go and fucking spring those people because they're so valuable in that world in terms of like, you know, the cultural significance, the power that they wield, all of that stuff. And I think Jin Commanders, I think when Defran first kind of conceptualized them, were like a Jedi vibe, right? Like they were like those like really like looked up to warriors that had that significance and weight. So in my mind, like, yeah, like that's what the rebellion would do. They would risk it all to spring those 4 because those 4 could be game changers, right?
Yeah. And they can also know other people too.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't know if we even really went into detail about the Jin commanders, like who they are and all that stuff. I feel like that's that hasn't really been said in any episodes, right?
I think that's
Oh,
what Rage Against the Rift is
vaguely,
for, right?
but yeah, Rage Against the Rift aside, if you guys haven't been watching, we have a couple side episode one shots that are that take place. Prequels that take place during that war that we do as live streams just to play a little fun live game. And that's where we kind of get more into Jin Commander culture, I guess. But yeah, I think we just vaguely hinted at them being like, you know, the main fighting force back then. How much Bugaki treats them with importance, and his father being one. There's definitely a level of like, yeah, a certain level of weight to that title, right? It's much similar to, in my mind, like Jedi Masters. Like, yeah, if it's, yeah, I mean, fucking, if you've watched Ahsoka at all or even know the concept, it's literally like they're doing everything in their power to fucking spring one fucking Jedi, because it's like there's one fucking Jedi out there that we know they're like they're out there. Like, yeah, we need them. We need all the help we can get, and like they're fucking powerful warriors.
Or Grogu, how much protection Grogu needed, like being a possible Jedi. Like,
yeah,
so in that way, yeah.
In that way, like, yeah, you guys really did a whole ass prison break for 4 guys, and honestly, it checks out. I think it's not that absurd to think about.
Also, Thalsinar turned out to be a loose cannon. Right. So, I mean, it didn't seem like it took much. Even he was like, "Oh, no prisoner, prison, just for that."
Yeah. He obviously Thalsinar was itching to be involved as much as he wanted to be like, I don't want to be involved. As soon as Bukaki was like, we need your help, he's like, I'm there with my 10,000 starships. He just really wants to flex those starships as much as possible. But yeah,
so how many Jin commanders are there out? Like in the how many are there right
I don't
now?
know. I think when we talk about it, it's probably similar to Jedi, where they're like there were hundreds of them, maybe not thousands, maybe hundreds of them. But in the same way that Star Wars is treating it, where like every couple of years they'd be like, oh, well, actually, there was this other Jedi that escaped Order 66 that you guys didn't realize. Here's a whole game about them. We could literally introduce new Jin Commanders at any point, right? And like be like, oh, they were retired and in hiding, because truly that is. It allows flexibility for characters and world building in that way. But yeah, I think we said like in the hundreds, similar to like I guess the Jedi Order when they were in their prime. or like
Okay.
I don't know.
Are there-
I don't know the numbers, but yeah.
I will say that there are some dormant golems on Alkene still.
yeah. I think we did talk about that. Like
We
the
did.
Rage
Yeah,
Against
Mikey was in that room. Yeah.
Mike's Rage Against the Rift character, Phoenix,
Yes.
Phoenix
Very
Earthbound. We said that like when Mikey discovered that hidden Alkene facility, that they were like dormant warriors waiting to be reactivated.
Mm-hmm.
Canon that Phoenix is one of them, still in there. So
Yeah.
canon that he was
Whatever
there.
Vargles is doing about
Yeah, speaking of maybe Roggles. Speaking of Jin Commanders, I don't know if we discussed this, but this is the first time we're seeing art of him. But Mojave is Bojaz Skidley's ancestor. Bojaz from season 1, Rainbow Valley. We did talk about that, I think. But obviously, if you see the art now, I did tell D-Friend to base it on Frog from Chrono Trigger, which is why he looks like that.
Frog, yeah.
Truly one of my favorite characters, video game characters ever. He's just very cool. Yeah, so there's a little thing about that. Yeah, a lot of interesting characters. Vsauce Phillips is very interesting. Vsauce Phillips is very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Magnus missed that part.
Yeah. I mean, you'll watch it, Magnus, but that whole like you guys figuring out which of these Jin commanders to trust and not trust. I didn't really think that was going to be as big of a thing as it ended up being. You guys did a whole fucking investigation. And truly, I thought, in my mind, when I characterized these people, Vsauce Phillips was the one that I was like, oh yeah, he's the one they're not going to recruit. He's the one that's getting the boot. Whereas he ends up being the one that you guys just like tame and keep. And then you guys end up brutally, viciously murdering Xeon Zigilin, which is like pretty it's actually pretty fucked up how it goes down.
Plot twist.
That's all
We
Mikey.
are the bad guys.
That's all
I was like, what
Mikey.
the hell is going on?
Yeah.
That's
I
all
was like,
Mikey
I wish that Sappy was here to talk about it,
Yeah,
but
I
I
know.
don't know if you're in chat.
But that
there,
was
so-
Mike too also said like, oh, we should kill him. And then that gave Alex like
You
the
remind
go
me
ahead,
of-
like,
sorry,
oh,
I was
okay.
implicated. Yes, you're right. I did see
It reminds
that.
me of like when you play
But
Baldur's
watching it
Gate
back,
and you're
it
doing
was
Dark
mostly-
Urge run,
Yeah.
and then it's like the choices.
Yeah.
It's exactly
when it was happening, I thought it made sense. Just because it's obviously been like hinted at that Mikey is on a dark path and is on a little more unhinged, volatile path ever since the Conjurer thing. And so when this was happening, I was like, let's let this play out because it's showing that dark side of Mikey that we're gonna get a little peek more into as the campaign goes on.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is just a very like exaggerated, dramatized version of that.
I think Whisker's input came from like paranoia because Whiskers is like, like paranoid like dog basically, like even with the shoe shining robots, like very paranoid about that. Like I remember specifically thinking like, holy shit, like if this guy even makes a phone call to John Roy Jonathan, like we're all fucked. So he can't leave. He can't
leave.
even make a phone call.
Yeah.
So he's gotta go.
And of course, Whispery P was the innocent one, just a dude that you guys were beating up for no reason. Yeah, I think I did say this when we played it, and I think last episode I mentioned it or something that I had a whole plot line with Xeon Zigilin that goes cut this episode because of his death. And I said I would tell you guys in the talkback for that episode, which is today. So yes, Xeon Zigilin, his whole story of him having a family that was taken custody by the New Union and how they like kind of forced him to like they sent him to the tomb and like they captured him and were like, you have to come with us or else your family's getting killed or whatever the case. That's actually true. Xeon did actually have his family captured by the New Union. They're still out there. And he truly did want to get them back. But there was a whole storyline that probably would have been a whole episode or part of an episode where him wanting to go back to get his ancestral greatsword back on Megachondria at home was his sleazy snake brain of trying to like finagle people and just like talk his way out of things. Was his way of like him being there and realizing like, oh, like I can like sell out these rebellion people to maybe get my family back and get good favor with the new union. So he would have brought you guys to Megachondria to get his ancestral greatsword, and you guys would have been ambushed by the new union, and there would have been like a whole thing.
Yeah, that was not going to happen.
Yeah, that was a potential path that could have gone. Yeah, he would have sold you out and done all that. So that was a whole thing.
I think this scene also followed the Rage Against the Rift, where we met John Roy Jonerson, and he betrayed us. So as soon as that name was dropped, you're like, oh no, he can't make that phone call to him. So that wasn't gonna happen.
Less obvious, a little more subtly. You guys in the very first. Sorry, not the very first, not like episode 0 or whatever of Rage Against the Rift, but not the Learning Lancer one, but the one where you guys had that like
to get the briefcase.
The briefcase. Xeon Zijin was the last remaining survivor of that battle. But then at the end of that battle, you realize that there was potentially a leak. There was a potentially like Thorin was a little suspicious because somehow the enemy had information about this whole ordeal, and that's why your warriors got jumped.
Xeon,
Just saying. Just a hint at the sketchiness of Xeon Zijin from the get-go.
Wow.
That was a little hint at that.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. So obviously, Toshio Kitsune, one of the most expensive bounty hunters. Obviously, I wanted to bring him back in some regard, but like obviously, it made sense at this point because you guys have such a huge bounty on your head, and like he's like one of the legendary bounty hunters out there. That of course someone's gonna pay him to come collect you guys. So this meeting was inevitable, and I think Whiskers even the last time you saw him, you were like, "I hope we don't have to face you someday." That was made real with this episode.
Yeah. I was hoping it'd be later on, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know when I was going to do it. I did have the idea of wanting to do it at some point. This just made sense because there was a little downtime between some major plot points, and this little space bridge mission was pretty negligible in the grand scheme of things. But this, obviously, the repercussions of this ripple out to other things, and Toshio Kitsune. And you guys sparing him and working with him obviously leads to other things,
it all
which I didn't
out.
expect. But yeah, very, very cool. Another Easter egg, the map, I don't know if you realize it's in the shape of a fox head. I just kind of
I did not notice
that was a little thing I threw in there. Oh, so why this episode was such a headache to edit. One, for some reason, I don't know, it was Happy's audio was very low. Like even at the max volume, I had to like artificially adjust it because it was so low. And then when he talked loud, it was like it peaked. That made things really slow. The animation stuff fucking up made things slow. But I had to edit around my least favorite combat of this entire campaign so far. That in my mind is like just like the silliest. I think you guys have described it as the most like Looney Tunesy Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote combat of like just Toshiro and Whiskers just chasing each other around. We did not really have a grasp on like the rules. How like hidden, being invisible, and how that works with like being engaged and stuff, how that works in Lancer. And there's like a full extra hour of us trying to figure out the rules that I had to like edit around and cut out of this because it was so just like frustrating trying to figure that out when we were playing this. Also frustrating to edit, but that's why this combat feels a little wonky. In my mind, I was like, Fatal Clash. The whole combat is going to be like, you know, them facing the assassins while Whiskers and Toshiro Kitsune just duel. Didn't think that Whiskers would just like run away after each on each turn and then making it this weird thing where they were searching for each other, and it was just very weird combat.
I didn't think it was gonna end up at a point where we couldn't hit each other because I knew I wouldn't survive in just a one-on-one. So I wanted to like use abilities and stuff and run around and stuff. But what we found out is that you can't hide when you're engaged. And
Yeah.
so that's what made it really hard. And also, you actually couldn't have searched for me because the sensor range of Atlas is only 3, and I'm pretty sure that you couldn't have found me. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think he searched for you after he got within range. I mean, there's a lot of things that
there's a couple different things that
Yeah.
should not have happened that made it even longer and made it harder for us to hit each other.
Yeah.
Like I was fine once we interacted and we would do the Jägerkunst too,
Mhm.
but like, you know, I couldn't hit him. So what was I gonna do?
Yeah, this was an example of Lancer combat. You know, we love the system, but you know, with many very crunchy system things, we're not always the best at playing that. We obviously prioritize story first. So sometimes when stuff gets a little wonky, we try our best, but you know, sometimes we don't play the combat stuff fully correctly, and that's okay. That's fine.
Cinematically, it was dope. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picturing it in my mind.
Okay, good.
And it was great.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, watching it back was obviously way different than when we were in the midst of it, trying to figure out rules and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like just the imagery of us two just like being so fast and the blades moving so fast, but we're in in the massive flaming whatever mech's name's ass is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because in actuality, Defran's mech is like more than 3 times the size of us. Because we're probably the size of like a room, maybe like 10 feet high. Defran's is like a couple stories high. That's how big his mech is.
Yeah. Probably like at least 30 feet tall. Yeah. Visually it'd be cool. If this was ever an anime, it would play out a lot differently. But yeah, like you guys like disappearing and reappearing and like moving so quickly, and like everyone else just like trying to keep track. That's kind of how I pictured it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very funny after such an intense fight that the way it ends, and it's very on brand for Aisha to just punch to share off the map, and that's how you guys won. Very.
Well, the alternative to that was Toshio was probably gonna win against me, and then everyone else's weapons are aimed at him, and everyone would have just shot him up, and he would have been dead that way. Anyways,
you guys took out the assassins much faster than I expected, which is fine. Not that we needed a longer combat. But I think in my mind, I thought like the duel, the honor between master and student was something that people would sit back. But like, yeah, if he did defeat you, probably not able to defeat all of you. I thought maybe there was a scenario that could have happened if he was that strong. I don't think I built him to be that strong. But the alternative was you would have defeated him anyways.
If we played for like a while longer and like you knew like the hiding and stuff, and because I'm pretty sure that the level that you made him is like higher than us, so you may have been able to.
More. I don't know.
May have been able to. If it wasn't for Mikey's mines, I think he could have won. The mines are what actually destroyed him.
They put him off kilter, and like his invisibility got fucked up by it. Mustendranath Rinzendwheel. That was a Defran creation. I literally was like, when I was creating Toshio Kitsune and then that Go episode, and I was like, I wanted to introduce the Katana of Shadows. I literally asked Defran, I was like, in this time, like several thousand years before Rainbow Valley, who has the sword of the Katana of Shadows? And Defran was like, it's a guy named Mustendranath Rinzendwheel. And I was like, so be it. And Toshio Kitsune took it off him.
It's Matsendranath. Matsendranath Rinzendwheel.
What is that?
Or was it Rinzendwheel?
I just made it up.
You just made it up? Okay. There's no meaning. You're just like, let's make the most complicated name for no reason.
It sounds like Azra, whatever
sounds like the guy.
Raven says.
Sounds like a guy that would have the Katana Shadows.
Sounds like
Azra something Synthos.
Can't be a guy like Billy Joel.
Imagine the Katana, the
Yeah.
Katana Shadows belongs to a guy named George.
George Costanza.
George Costanza.
George Costanza.
That's the blade of the shadows.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That is something we have yet to. I mean, even like in the couple episodes that we've recorded since then, we have yet to go down that path.
And I'm not gonna remember how to play the next time we record.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. But yeah, just a final thing. Just a little treat that I wanted to give you guys. The return of Gojin Silver.
Oh yes.
Obviously, he was in recovery. You know, he's been this like peripheral thing that you guys had kept an eye on. Fork and Blazer had kept an eye on. And I thought it was about time. Like, you guys are getting Jin Commanders back together again, and I thought this would be a good time to, like, you know, he's still obviously in crutches. He's still healing. He's not 100%. He's not, you know, fighting capabilities yet. But you know, to have the additional ally and to have Jin Commander wisdom, especially with Bugaki, like that being his goal to get them back together again, to get you know, more of them on board, and explore that. I thought Futamaki Slim doing you guys a solid. Doing a run on Zerf, picking up Gojin Silver. No, none the wiser. No one else would have known that he was associated with you guys. Got out of there and brought him to you.
Are we gonna see Gojin Silver and Futamaki Slim in mechs before the end of the campaign? Because I need to see them in battle.
Who knows? Who knows? I think I've established that Futamaki Slim is a jet fighter. He doesn't. He's not a Lancer pilot.
But he was in the race, though.
He was in a race. He was in the race.
True. Okay.
But Gojin Silver, yes, obviously former Jin Commander, has a. He's already statted out, right? His race car stats. I just adjust them, but not in the place to fight just yet. He's still healing. Sure. So that's me just giving myself time to reintroduce him. But yeah, a little treat for you guys. A little treat for you guys. And just a really fucking cool character that I wanted to bring back. And yeah, that's that episode. Any final thoughts? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Magnus had a couple things.
Find out what happened to what she did to end up in prison, like the Grim Sleeper. I forget what her name is.
Oh, the Grim Sleeper, was it? Yeah, the Grim Sleeper.
I don't think you guys talked.
I don't think we ever talked about why.
No.
Oh yeah.
Like, as soon as it was like redacted, I was like, "But why?"
Yeah, you never asked her. Interesting. Is that the one?
True.
Yeah, that's the one you don't know.
They don't ask shit.
Yeah. Yeah, Mojave was part of the attack on Hanu with the Byzantites, so that's why he got captured. And because he's Jin Commander. B-Cell Phillips was captured because he burned a cop car that was patrolling a marginalized neighborhood, I think was what was said in there. Zeon Zijlin was his blackmailed, or his family was taken, and he was told that he would have to go with them or else. And Jilly Goo, I think, was redacted. Yeah, it was redacted.
And then there was an Eric Akra that played troublesome music.
Yes, Yakitori West.
West.
But he's long gone. He gets busted out of prison.
Yeah.
He flew off.
Yakitori West was just a criminal, right?
He was arrested for politically charged music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh man, that guy fucked up. He's stuck on that planet still.
You never know. Maybe he got it right out. Who knows?
It's like Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, he gets. Maybe he becomes one of the scavengers. Who knows? Who knows?
Cage Against the Machine.
But yeah, that's session 20. So as we said, we're not gonna have another new episode edited until beginning of November. Next week we're doing the Rage Against the Rifts episode, and then we have 2 weeks of a break as D-Fran is away and Sappy is in the middle of moving. Thank you all for tuning in and being here. This is I miss doing this. I wish I had more time to do this more frequently. Sorry for the inconsistent release schedule, but we're doing our best. We'll get there eventually. We'll be finished Big Space Blues by the time January rolls around, probably, maybe, who knows? We'll see how consistent we can be. And now that summer's died down, hoping that we can get back in the swing of things. But until then, we will see you next week with Magnus in the GM seat. I am excited to play Lancer for the first time as a player. Yeah, until then,
No pressure.
over and out.
Why?
Bye
Bye bye.